Hello, what's happening to everybody out there? Welcome, of course, back to Rule of Two Review. Now, today what I want to talk to you guys about is about Nintendo's online network and its upcoming mobile app that's apparently going to help us communicate with other players while playing online. So man, I am getting into it today with this topic because this has become a pretty big deal, and for the most part, I do understand why. Of course, I'm talking about the fact that Nintendo is going to be giving us an online network for the Nintendo Switch, and it's going to be a network that for the first time ever they're going to charge us for, and there's a lot of weird, unique things about it that seem to be different, even though, to be fair, there's a lot of things we do not know about the Nintendo Switch online network and how it's being paid for and what's happening with all that stuff. There's a lot of questions and a lot of mystery, but the few things we do know are a little bit strange. So the gist of what's going on right now, at least as far as I know, is that when the console launches in March, just a couple of weeks from now on March 3rd, there is going to be some sort of online connection and online service that all those players, myself included, of course, will be able to use. But apparently no one's going to be charged for anything right out of the gate, and I guess a lot of features and a lot of abilities of their online play and online service won't really be up and running. Sometime this coming fall, at the end of the year 2017, is when we know that Nintendo is going to kick their brand new online service into high gear, and that's when everyone is going to start paying for this service, again for the first time ever for a Nintendo console. And I discussed my overall feelings on this on the video that I posted yesterday about my 5 concerns or worries about the Switch, and the fact that this is going to be the first time ever uncharted territory for Nintendo. And then of course, that is also going to be the time, apparently, unless some of these things change, that Nintendo is going to unleash upon us a smartphone and or mobile app that is going to allow us to also interact with the Nintendo Switch, interact with Nintendo's online service, and apparently also in some way chat with other gamers. So as I said at the beginning here, this is a pretty big deal, and a lot of people are all over the place with this idea and this topic. And like I also said in the beginning, I do kind of understand why. It's a weird idea, it's a confusing idea, especially because we haven't seen it in action and Nintendo hasn't really told us any, solid details about it, and we still have many, many months to go before it's officially available. So there's a lot of questions and there's a lot of confusion around this, and so it's like, okay, I get why it's a pretty big deal. So I wanted to discuss my feelings on it based on the little bit that we know. It's supposed to help us chat with other gamers. It's going to interact with the Nintendo Switch, Nintendo's mobile, yet also home console. And it's going to be something that I guess we're paying for. There's so many things we don't know. I guess there's also some sort of parental control through this app, or maybe even a separate app that's specific for parental control. I don't quite yet remember the details on that. You guys may know. But I know that in some way, shape, or form, the parental control ability is wrapped up into the smartphone or mobile app that Nintendo is going to be releasing. So a lot of people are seemingly angry about this, not just in the sense that, oh my god, there's a weird smartphone app for chatting, that doesn't make sense, how's that going to work, but also because this is going to be in conjunction with Nintendo charging us for the first time ever for online services. And well, if you're charging me for online service and I'm already paying my monthly cell phone bill, why the hell would I have to use my monthly cell phone bill to use the online service for my game console that I'm also paying for? And that is a really damn good question. That is definitely one of the most concerning things about what Nintendo's told us so far about this whole online service smartphone app thing. But that doesn't mean it's necessarily all bad, at least in my eyes personally, and so I'm going to get to that. Now, do I think that this is a great idea or a terrible idea? Well, it's definitely neither yet, mostly because we don't know all the details. But I have to say that I think that there is a possibility for this to all work out and be really great. Yes, I'm the optimist. Yes, I'm a Nintendo apologist, or whatever anyone wants to say or whatever. But I certainly do believe that Nintendo is the kind of company that can take this whole concept and deliver it properly. They're also one of the companies that can take this concept and completely destroy it, muck it up, and screw everyone's gaming experience over, and that would be remarkably tragic. So, while I do know that they have the ability to do that, I just think that for the most part, not entirely, but for the most part, they've been hitting all the right beats, and they've been carrying strong momentum and showing a lot of confidence and conviction with what they're doing with the Switch currently, and I like that, and it gives me faith in how Nintendo is going to deliver this whole online idea and what's happening with the smartphone app. So for me, the things that would make this okay are twofold. One is if the mobile app actually works the way it's supposed to, and beyond just working the way it's supposed to and how it lets us interact with other gamers and do the chatting and interact with the network and maybe achievements and whatever, beyond just that, how it could also affect just our phone operating. The questions I have around this mobile app stem from whether or not it's going to disrupt the ability to use our phone for anything else while it's happening. And of course, what happens if you get a phone call? What happens if you have to send a text? What happens if you have to pause the game? Or, I mean, there's so many questions. There's probably a laundry list of questions we could all come up with how that's going to work. The other way I think this could be okay is if Nintendo charges us appropriately for the online service. That's the real thing that I think people aren't thinking about, is if Nintendo's going to charge us $60 a year, just like both Sony and Microsoft charge us, yet they also make us use our cell phone app which is another thing we're already paying for in the first place. Yeah, that won't fly, and that does not work, Nintendo, so don't be crazy, do not do that. Now, if they charge us $20 or $30, maybe even up to $40, I would say, and it's like, okay, we're spending $20 less than the competition charges, and that's part of the reason why we're using this mobile app. It's like, okay, well, the cost is kind of being offset in that scenario, and that would make it a much easier pill for myself to swallow, and I would hope also for a lot of other people who are maybe worried or upset about this idea. So that is one of the main details that we're really waiting to hear about from Nintendo to really know how to fully analyze and prepare ourselves and judge this thing. And beyond that is also the fact that I think that there is potential for this to be one of the coolest ideas ever implemented in a video game console ever. Again, with the caveat, you guys, I will fully and freely admit this, with the caveat that Nintendo doesn't completely screw it up, because it has the absolute huge potential to be the worst thing and the biggest mistake any company's ever tried to do for their online network ever. That is a real possibility, and it could still happen. And Nintendo, for every great decision they always make a couple of boneheaded ones too, and maybe that's what this is going to be. But in trying to think about it from a more optimistic perspective, I think that this could randomly be one of the coolest things. When I first heard, I think it was Kimishima, but whoever it was that first announced and mentioned this concept at the Tokyo event a couple of weeks ago, I was like, hey, that kind of sounds cool. It sounds like a very progressive and unique idea that's so different from the competition, and might also be the very best way to make Nintendo's online service work with a home console that is also portable, that people could have out in the wild anywhere in the world. And that's the other element when people talk about, oh, why would you do this? Why would it be this way? It's just dumb. It's going to ruin things and make it complicated. Well, yeah, it seems a little bit weird and strange and maybe not the best idea, but also Nintendo's new console is something that we're supposed to be able to pick up from our TV and then walk out the door with, and go to the local Starbucks or the local McDonald's, or drive to the airport, or hang out at your buddy's house and do whatever and actually play and continue to game. And for a lot of us, we want to game online. Nintendo's pushing online more than ever. We know games like Smash Brothers, Mario Kart, and Splatoon are big first-party franchises and properties that use an online network. And if we really believe that the third-party content's coming the way we want, we know stuff like NBA is coming. It's like, hey, games like NBA, games like Destiny, games like Call of Duty or Battlefield or Star Wars games or what have you, myriad other things, a lot of those games really, really rely on an online network. And if Nintendo wants to make the online network something that works both when you're at home plugged into your TV and also if you're out in the go searching for a Wi-Fi connection, maybe this whole mobile infrastructure that they worked with DNA the last 2 years to build was to make the Switch work in a portable fashion when you're out in the world, but still be able to play on online servers for both Nintendo's games and third-party games. This is something that even way back in the NX days, which feels, is that way back? I don't even know. That was months ago. Oh my God. Way back in the NX days, that's something that I actually theorized for a long time, and you can hear me on some of my videos. On the Juices Loose podcast that I do every week on Mondays, I said that many times when making random predictions and statements about the then NX, and even with the Switch since. It's like maybe part of that whole DNA thing that people have kind of forgotten about. That's part of the reason they built this, is to make it easy to take your AAA home console experiences anywhere in the world. And through that, well, everyone always has their smartphone and their mobile phone on them at all times, and always using those for mobile hotspots and whatnot. Why not make these things work together and talk together? I think it could potentially be the greatest thing, you guys. Again, acknowledging the fact that it could be botched and screwed up and a disaster, I think there's just as much potential for it to be absolutely fantastic and a way to work around the portable, I don't want to call it a problem, but the portable difference to the, I almost said NX, oh my God. The portable difference to the Nintendo Switch. It could be a fantastic and wonderful workaround that no other company in the industry other than Nintendo might have been able to think up to find a solution for. And I think that these are the key points that we have to remember when judging and analyzing this thing. Again, we don't really know how this is going to play out. Reggie had some very interesting quotes when he first kind of discussed and laid this information out within the last week or so, or maybe even 2 weeks. And he talked about, he kind of used a random example of, well, you know, if you're out and about and you're in like a local Starbucks or coffee shop or something and you want to play with your friends and you want to get online with your Nintendo Switch because it's with you, it's going to be really weird and awkward for you to, you know, bring out this big bulky headset and just kind of plug that thing in and be that guy with this big microphone all yelling at your friends or whatever. And he said something to the effect of this being a potentially very smooth and elegant solution. You open up the app on your cell phone, you plug in little random earbuds into that, and all of a sudden you're interacting with your game and the online network and anyone else you're playing with online in a more subtle and convenient way than doing it the old-fashioned way, but still in a portable setting. And it's like, well, that makes sense. And if anything, whether or not this idea succeeds or not, what it does do, or what that did for me, I should say, when Reggie said that, is it kind of put in perspective where Nintendo's head is at and what Nintendo's thinking, and it helps me follow their logic. And it's like, okay, I can buy that. I can get behind why you think it's a good idea, and I can very patiently wait to see if it all works out for the better. And I think that that's probably the best way for a lot of us to look at these things, you guys. You have to remember, Nintendo, as per usual, is doing something brand new and giving us something that we've never done or seen before and preparing us for a whole new way to play and interact with our games and our systems and these online networks for first and third party. They're doing something all brand new. And so there has to be an all brand new solution for how this all works. And I think that Nintendo has thought this out very clearly. And I think that they believe in this mobile app idea for gaming. And I think that there's potential for it to really work out, you guys. And not to mention, last point here in ending the video, the fact that Nintendo's waiting so long before they start charging everyone for the online service, I guarantee you guys that part of what they are doing is analyzing and assessing the situation, you guys, and they're probably going to be looking for feedback from the community and from the media and from the gamers and the consumers and everyone that's like, hey, this is what does work with Nintendo's Switch and with the online network and with the portability, and this is what doesn't. And I think that they're going to use that in two ways. One, to find the best ways to fix the things that don't work, such as the online networks and the portability, and such as how, well, the mobile app won't be out at that time, but how voice chat and how all of these other things work, and also how to assess potentially what to charge us for this online service once it does go live in a sellable fashion this fall, which I think is also when the mobile app is supposed to launch. So I'm sure they're going to use this first 6, 7, 8 months of the Switch's life to determine the best way to roll out the online service and the best price to charge us for it. And these are all huge key factors that I think we all need to remember and consider before, doling out these really harsh criticisms and judgments over what's happening with this mobile app. And remember, I think it could be a disaster. There is the potential for this thing to totally fall through or just destroy how our cell phones operate while we're using the app, or what the battery life on our cell phones is beyond the battery life of the Switch. All sorts of things could not work out, but I think there's so much potential for this to be really great, or at least acceptable. I mean, at least something that just gets the job done, in which case it's not ruining anything. So let's all just wait and see. This is what I think about this whole idea, as we don't really have the answers. We have to remember we have so few answers and so little information. I'm only giving you my theories and speculation and my personal perspective until Nintendo gives us more details sometime down the road, probably after the Switch launches, maybe before, we can hope, but probably after. So I don't know, I think that's it for today, guys. So tell me what you think about the mobile app thing, the online network, the charging for it, how you think it's all going to wrap up. What do you think about my ideas and theories and everything that I laid out in today's video? I really want to hear what you guys have to say about it, because I know it's a very big deal to a lot of people, and for a very good reason. So I think that's it. So tell me what you guys think. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in. This, of course, is Rob of Rule of Two Review, and I will catch you guys next time on another video.